So I need a sync strategy for my app because I want the quiz to be as fast as possible. So what is my plan? I have a database in Firebase with two collections, the question itself and one for the sync. Anytime I do a change in my questions, I'll update the sync collection. So every time I open my app, I'll fetch the questions I have to sync and store them in my local database. If I did it before, then I'll save a last sync timestamp so I sync incrementally next time. Basically, I'll get an array of IDs of the entity to sync and a type of syncing I need to do, so the app knows if it has to create, update, or delete the entity. And the last thing, I'll maintain my sync collection up to date with cloud functions. Anyway, if you're wondering what exactly this app does, it's because probably you haven't seen my previous videos. In the first one, I explain why I created this channel and which app I'm making first. And the second one is about adding the local database to my current app. So if you have some time, I'll be happy if you see them. Alright, let's implement this sync strategy. So I decided to create a sync collection in Firebase. And every time I do something with my quiz data, there is going to be cloud functions that are going to fill this collection for me. So if you're new to Firebase, cloud functions are extra logic you can add to your Firebase database. You can create normal REST endpoints there and also react to events in Firestore. I'm going to create some functions that they will trigger when there is a change in my quiz data collections. The good thing about Firebase is that they give you an emulator so you can test all your logic without impacting production. Everything looks fine here, so let's move on. Okay, there is a tiny problem. I think you need to upgrade your plan if you want to deploy your functions in production. So have that in mind. Oh, interesting. Lima, ¿qué pasó? Lima is guarding the house. Okay, so what I was saying. But don't worry, because you only pay for what you use in Firebase, and when you're developing, this cost is zero. Now that I apply the change, I think we can proceed to deploy the functions. So functions deploy. Let's move to the app logic now. So I created a new entity in my data layer that represents the sync documents in Firebase. Okay, now you just need to add the logic. So every time the user opens the app, I'll try to sync. If there is no last sync timestamp, I will make a full sync and basically request all the collections for my questions. If there is a timestamp, I'll make an incremental sync and request data only from the sync table. At this point, I was having some problems. I was just saving one entity in my Swift data, and in this entity I also had like 3 different types as optionals. So every time I was trying to update these optionals in Swift data, it will fail to fetch them for some reason. I think it was because I was working with optionals and missing relationships, since these types weren't stored in Swift data. Anyway, I decided to refactor this part. Instead of having optionals and only one type, now I'm saving 3 entities in my app, and now I have the benefit that it's so simple to make predicates, because I'm just dealing with one type. I don't have to make if or unwrapping the optionals. So once I finished this whole refactor, I was finally able to update a court from an incremental sync. This was a huge moment of my week because I was stuck here for almost 3 days. So after all this, I think I'm ready to start testing my sync logic. So probably in the future, I'm going to create some admin website with a proper UI to make it simple for me to create new questions. But for now, I can do it manually in Firestore. So here you can see, whenever I finish the creation of a new court, it goes automatically to my sync table. And if I run the app again, the incremental sync starts and realize there is a new entity to sync, properly creating it locally. And the same goes with the update and delete logic. Okay, so the sync is tested. Now I think we have to test the game to see that everything is still behaving the same. So that's it. I think the main screen is already finished by 95%. The only problem is maybe I need to polish it in big or small devices because I'm pretty sure it's going to look weird. And that's a problem for the future. So anyway, thanks for watching and see you later.